I'm Jennifer Walker-Gates with Walker-Gates Vela. I am here this afternoon with our associate, Naveen Flores-Dixit. Hey, Naveen.
Hi.
We are immigration attorneys in Austin and San Antonio, Texas. And we are talking today about the new Biden enforcement priorities memo. And this is a huge deal. It's really, really important for so many immigrants because what we have been dealing with under the past 4 years of the Trump administration is like extremely ramped up enforcement that was applied across the board to every immigrant. And now that Biden has taken office, they've made very clear that there are certain people who will be priorities for enforcement. And it's not to say that others are 100% off the hook at all. That's not what we're saying. But what we are saying is that, you know, ICE is not going to be a constant threat for every single undocumented person, or, you know, whether they're documented or not. You know, people's anxiety levels about ICE and ICE enforcement may begin to relax a little bit. That's what I'm hopeful about. So before we get into the content of all of that, I do want to invite viewers to please subscribe to our channel. We do these kinds of informative videos on a regular basis for our audience, for our clients, and it is really helpful if you subscribe. You'll be notified when we have more information coming out, and you'll be able to be really on top of what's going on and stay safe out there. That's what we really want. Our goal is to keep our families together in the United States. So, Naveen, thank you for being here with me. Can you tell us a little bit, in a nutshell, what is this enforcement priorities memo? What is it?
Yes, so basically the memo lays out 3 categories of priorities or people that are presumed to be priorities for enforcement of the immigration laws and detainment. And the 3 categories, the first one is national security. And so that applies to somebody who is accused of being a terrorist or a spy. Usually that isn't a huge problem for most of our clients. Priority category 2 is called border security. And it applies to anyone who entered the United States on or after November 1st, 2020. So if you entered the United States after that date, you are presumed to be a priority for enforcement. And the third priority is public safety. And that means that a non-citizen is presumed to be a public safety danger if they have committed an aggravated felony or are accused of being in a gang.
Okay. All right. So 3 categories of priorities. I want to kind of break each of those down and understand each of them. And I also want to back up first and understand when we say priority for enforcement, does that mean that somebody's going to be a priority to like just get picked up, scooped up, and immediately expelled from the United States? Or like, what does that mean if someone is a priority for enforcement?
It means that if ICE finds this person and they find out that they are a priority of it for enforcement, that they will likely try to prosecute the person, meaning that they'll bring deportation proceedings against them. And so usually the client will still have a chance to present a case to defend against deportation. Normally you cannot be deported immediately upon apprehension. And this kind of just means that ICE will be more concerned about your case and less likely, if you are in detention, to release you, and less likely to recommend that your case not be prosecuted.
Okay. So, and if somebody isn't an enforcement priority and they have an encounter with an immigration officer or they get arrested, but it's for a relatively minor crime and they're not considered under one of these categories to be an enforcement priority, then what happens? Do you know? Is the memo clear about what happens in those situations?
So the memo is not 100% clear and doesn't give line by line instructions to the ICE officers. They still have a lot of discretion. If someone is not a presumed priority, that doesn't mean that the immigration laws do not apply to them or they can never be deported. What it means is that the ICE officer has to basically talk to his supervisor about the case and receive approval from the supervisor to pursue the case if the person is not a presumed priority.
Wow. So if someone is not automatically in one of those categories, then an ICE officer can bring a case against them, but must get approval from their supervisor to do so. Is that what I understand you to say?
Yes, that's exactly right. Basically, the ICE officer needs to explain to his supervisor why they should continue to pursue the case, even though the person is not in a priority.
Wow, fantastic. So, and then I understand that the memo makes clear that an ICE officer at many different stages of removal proceedings could potentially exercise discretion to either stop a case, slow down a case, release someone from detention, or just simply let them go and not bring a case at all. Is that your understanding as well? Is that cases that have already been initiated may be either abandoned, closed, terminated, dropped under this enforcement memo?
Um, so I think that it's definitely a possibility that ICE could try to close cases or try to intervene in cases where there isn't a priority, but they still have to go through the courts, and there's case law right now on administrative closure and whether and when you can close a case and when that's appropriate. We're hoping that hopefully, I don't think he's confirmed yet, but soon to be confirmed, Attorney General Merrick Garland will help with that. But until those changes happen in court, I don't know if ICE will be able to close cases as of right now, but hopefully in the future that will change.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's one of those situations where the new administration is still contending with decisions and policy making that happened in the former administration. Because one of the tools that was available to us before the Trump administration was administrative closure of cases. And under President Obama, when he recommended this type of prosecutorial discretion and prioritizing people who were truly security risks, a lot of individuals who were in deportation proceedings who were not considered enforcement priorities had their cases administratively closed. Then the Trump administration came in and said, well, administrative closure isn't something we're going to allow anymore. And there is a still ongoing litigation about whether administrative closure is a lawful exercise of a judge's discretion and a tool that judges and prosecutors can use to manage a docket. And as a result of a lot of these decisions, we saw the case backlog in the immigration courts just explode under the Trump administration. It was already huge, and now it is probably double what it was before Trump took office. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Biden administration handles these kinds of conflicts between what they want to accomplish with the immigration laws, what they want to accomplish in the way of keeping families together in the United States, versus what was enacted under Trump that still hasn't been dismantled and is going to take time because it has to go through the courts or it has to have some kind of legislative remedy taken care of by Congress, all of which takes more time than simply an executive order. So,
Yes, President Biden still has some work to do to really undo all of the damage that Trump was able to do in his 4 years.
Yes, I know. It was incredible how hard they worked, how many people worked toward, and all of the different ways that they attacked the immigration system as it had existed historically, in order to make life harder for us and for our clients. So I am really grateful that we have a reprieve from that, and I look forward to seeing how things unfold. In the meantime, it is really important for people to keep in mind that, again, just because we have this enforcement memo does not mean that if you are undocumented in the United States, that the immigration laws won't apply to you. It doesn't. This is not a get out of jail free card. But what this does mean, I think, is that law-abiding immigrants and their families who have lived in this country for a long time and contributed to this country can relax a little bit about the notion that, like, they're not going to be chased down when they're taking their kids to school. They're not going to be, pursued as they go to the grocery store. They're not going to be picked up as they try to, just go about their daily lives, like we were seeing so much under Trump. And it's really great to know that we have, some more reasonable people in office. We are already seeing with our clients that those who are getting picked up, those who are getting arrested, they're still having to face, immigration law, and they're still having to defend themselves. But at the same time, they're being treated with more humanity. They're being provided more reasonable opportunities to be released on bond when they pursue their case. And it's not just a massive effort to round up and detain and deport everybody. So,
yeah, I think that is the main difference with these categories. I think under Trump, it was just, if you're here and you're undocumented, we don't care anything about your story. We want to deport you. But I think with these categories, at least the Biden administration is showing that they are going to consider whether deporting you and separating you from your family is in the interest of the United States. And they're going to take that decision with a lot more care than I think that the Trump administration did.
Agreed. So great news. Thank you, Naveen, so much for sharing that insight and information with us. And anybody who's watching, if we can help you, if you do have a deportation case, if you have a family member or a loved one in detention and you need help trying to get them released, trying to defend them against removal from the United States and keep your family together, we are here to help. Please find us at walkergatesvela.com. You can go there to schedule a consultation with any of us, or give us a call, and either Naveen or I or any of the other 4 attorneys at our office would be happy to consult with you, learn about your case, understand what is involved, and make some recommendations to you about how we can help. So thank you again, Naveen. I hope that you have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you again soon.
Thank you.